£21 million. That was Diana's estate when she died. 17 years later, when William and Harry finally received their full inheritance, only £10 million remained. Where did the other £11 million go? Who took Diana's money? Before we explore the complex financial story of Diana's estate, please consider subscribing to The Diana Stories and hitting the like button. Your support helps us investigate these important questions about Diana's legacy. When Princess Diana died in August 1997, she left behind more than memories and a grieving public. She left behind a substantial fortune and a will that was supposed to ensure her sons would be financially secure. But what happened to Diana's money in the years after her death is a story of legal fees, taxes, estate management costs, and complex financial decisions that significantly reduced what William and Harry ultimately received. Diana's wealth at death. To understand what happened, we first need to understand exactly what Diana owned when she died. Her total estate was valued at approximately £21 million in 1997 money. This wasn't inherited royal wealth passed down through generations. This was money Diana had accumulated through her divorce settlement and personal assets. The largest portion came from her divorce settlement with Prince Charles. When Diana and Charles divorced in 1996, Diana received a lump sum payment of £17 million. This was a carefully negotiated settlement that took months of legal back and forth to finalize. Diana had initially wanted more, but the royal family offered less. The final £17 million represented a compromise. Diana also received approximately £4 million from other sources. This included money from the Spencer family, personal savings she had accumulated during her marriage, investments she had made independently, and the value of personal possessions like jewelry and clothing. Some of her designer wardrobe alone was worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. So Diana's total estate of approximately £21 million represented substantial wealth by any measure. In 1997, this amount had significant purchasing power. Adjusted for inflation, it would be worth approximately £40 million or more in today's money. Diana's will. Diana's will was straightforward in its basic intention. She wanted her estate to be held in trust for William and Harry. They would receive portions at age 25 and the remainder at age 30. Diana believed this structure would ensure her sons had financial security as adults, while preventing them from inheriting too much money too young. The will appointed several executors to manage Diana's estate. These included her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, her mother, Frances Shand Kidd, who was later replaced after her death, and Diana's former lawyer. These executors had enormous responsibility and power over Diana's money. Diana also left specific bequests in her will. She wanted her godchildren to receive small amounts. She wanted certain personal items to go to specific friends. She wanted her butler, Paul Burrell, to receive money and be allowed to buy items from her estate at below market value. These specific bequests totaled several £100,000. The bulk of the estate, however, was designated for William and Harry in equal shares. Diana wanted her sons to be wealthy, independent men who would never need to rely on the royal family for financial support. She wanted them to have freedom and options that money provides. The tax problem. Almost immediately after Diana's death, a major financial problem emerged. Under British inheritance tax law, estates over a certain threshold are taxed at 40%. Diana's £21 million estate was well over this threshold, meaning it should have been subject to approximately £8 million in inheritance tax. This would have been devastating to Diana's intentions. If £8 million went to taxes, William and Harry would have received only £13 million between them, significantly less than Diana had planned. But Diana's executors found a solution. They applied for and received a special exemption. Under British law, money left to charities is exempt from inheritance tax. Diana had expressed wishes during her life that she wanted to support various charities. Her executors argued that a portion of Diana's estate should be designated for charitable purposes, thus qualifying for tax exemption. The arrangement that was eventually approved involved creating the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund. A portion of Diana's estate would fund this charity, and in exchange, the estate would receive favorable tax treatment. The exact financial details of this arrangement were never fully disclosed publicly, but it's estimated that this strategy saved several million pounds in taxes. However, this tax planning came with costs. Legal fees for the complex negotiations with tax authorities were substantial. Accountants and tax specialists had to be hired. The process took months and required expensive expertise. Some estimates suggest these tax planning costs alone consumed over £1 million of Diana's estate. Legal fees and estate administration. The legal costs of administering Diana's estate were enormous and ongoing. Diana's will, despite being relatively straightforward in its basic structure, became the subject of extensive legal work that lasted for years. First, there were immediate costs after Diana's death. The will had to be probated, meaning officially validated by courts. This required legal work to prove the will's authenticity, confirm Diana's intentions, and establish the executor's authority. Standard probate procedures costs tens of thousands of pounds, even for simple estates. For Diana's complex, high-value estate, these costs were much higher. Second, there were disputes about specific items and bequests. Paul Burrell's situation created legal complications when he was later arrested for allegedly stealing Diana's possessions. The legal costs of sorting out what Burrell was entitled to take versus what he allegedly stole involved expensive legal proceedings that dragged on for years. Third, there were ongoing administrative costs. The executors needed legal advice for virtually every significant decision. Should certain assets be sold or kept? How should investments be managed? What expenses could be paid from the estate versus what should wait? Each question required legal consultation, and lawyers don't work for free. Diana's executives hired one of London's most prestigious law firms to handle the estate. This firm charged hourly rates that were among the highest in Britain. Partners at such firms can charge £500 or more per hour. Associates charge several £100s per hour. Over years of estate administration, these hourly fees added up dramatically. Some estimates suggest that total legal fees for administering Diana's estate exceeded £2 million over the years between her death and the final distribution to William and Harry. This seems shocking, But for a high-profile estate with complex assets and ongoing complications, such fees aren't unusual. Estate management costs. Beyond legal fees, there were substantial costs associated with simply managing Diana's estate assets over the years. Diana's wealth wasn't sitting in a simple savings account, it was invested in various assets that required active management. Diana owned property, including her apartment at Kensington Palace. While this was technically a royal residence, Diana had made substantial investments in renovating and furnishing it. The value of these improvements became part of her estate. Managing this property, deciding what to keep versus what to sell, and eventually transferring it required ongoing costs. Diana owned valuable jewelry, clothing, and personal items. These had to be appraised, insured, stored, and eventually distributed or sold. Professional appraisers had to be hired to value each significant item. Insurance costs for millions of pounds worth of jewelry were substantial. Climate-controlled storage facilities for valuable clothing and items weren't cheap. Diana had various investments and accounts. These needed active management to ensure the estate's value was preserved and, ideally, grew over time. Professional investment managers don't work for free. They typically charge a percentage of assets under management. For an estate worth millions of pounds, these annual management fees could easily reach hundreds of thousands of pounds per year. There were also costs associated with the Diana Memorial Fund. While this fund helped reduce tax liability, it required administration. Decisions about which charities to support, how much to give, and monitoring how funds were used all required staff and oversight. These administrative costs came from the estate. The Memorial Fund controversy. The Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund became controversial for several reasons related to how it affected Diana's estate. The fund was created shortly after Diana's death, initially funded by donations from the public, and eventually by a portion of Diana's estate. The fund's mission was to support causes Diana cared about during her life, particularly HIV/AIDS awareness, landmine removal, and supporting vulnerable young people. These were admirable goals that aligned with Diana's values. However, the fund became involved in expensive legal battles that drained resources. The most significant was a lawsuit against Franklin Mint, an American company that produced Diana memorabilia without authorization. The fund sued to protect Diana's image and name. This lawsuit cost millions of pounds in legal fees and ultimately settled for an undisclosed amount. The fund also had substantial administrative costs. It employed staff, rented office space, and paid for professional fundraising and charity management expertise. Critics argued these costs were too high relative to the amount actually distributed to charitable causes. Additionally, there were questions about whether the fund's existence reduced the amount available to William and Harry. Money designated for the fund as part of the tax planning strategy was money that didn't go directly to Diana's sons. While the exact amounts were never disclosed, some estimates suggest the fund received several million pounds that could theoretically have gone to William and Harry instead. Investment performance. Another factor affecting the final amount William and Harry received was investment performance. Diana's estate was invested with the intention of growing its value over time. The executors had a duty to manage these investments prudently. Between 1997 and 2014, when the estate was finally fully distributed, financial markets experienced significant volatility. There was the dot-com bubble burst in 2000-2001, There was the global financial crisis of 2008-2009. These market downturns affected the value of investments. While specific details of how Diana's estate was invested haven't been publicly disclosed, we know that executors typically follow conservative investment strategies for estates. They prioritize preserving capital over aggressive growth. This means Diana's estate likely wasn't invested in high-risk, high-return strategies. Conservative investment during a period of market volatility might have protected the estate from major losses, but it also might have limited growth. If Diana's estate had been aggressively invested during the recovery period after the 2008 crisis, it might have grown substantially, but conservative management probably meant more modest returns.
Typically, a percentage of assets under management annually. For an estate worth millions, these fees could easily reach tens of thousands of pounds per year. Over 17 years, investment management fees alone could have consumed hundreds of thousands of pounds. Inflation and time. An often overlooked factor is the simple effect of time and inflation. Diana died in 1997. William didn't receive his final inheritance payment until he turned 30 in 2012. Harry received his final payment when he turned 30 in 2014. That's 15 to 17 years of time. During those years, inflation eroded the purchasing power of money. A pound in 1997 didn't buy the same amount as a pound in 2012-2014. Even if the nominal value of the estate had been perfectly preserved, the real value would have declined due to inflation. Britain experienced significant inflation during this period, particularly in property prices and cost of living. While exact figures vary depending on what's being measured, general inflation over this period was substantial. Money that sat without growing faster than inflation was effectively losing value. This means that even if William and Harry had received every penny of the original £21 million, it would have been worth less in real terms in 2012-2014 than it had been in 1997. The passage of time inevitably eroded value, unless investments significantly outperformed inflation. What William and Harry actually received. When William turned 30 in 2012, he received his final inheritance payment from Diana's estate. Reports suggest he received approximately £10 million total from Diana's estate over the years. Harry received a similar amount when he turned 30 in 2014. Combined, William and Harry received approximately £20 million from their mother's estate. But remember, Diana's estate was valued at £21 million at her death. So where did the missing £1 million go? And why does it sometimes seem like even more is missing? The answer is that the £20 million William and Harry received was the result of the original £21 million minus various costs, plus investment growth, minus inflation effects. When you account for taxes, legal fees, estate management costs, charitable designations, and investment performance over 15 to 17 years, the final amount becomes clearer. Here's a rough breakdown of where the money went. Original estate, £21 million. Minus tax planning and charitable designations, approximately £3 to £4 million. Minus legal fees over 17 years, approximately £2 million. Minus estate management costs, approximately £1 to £2 million, plus investment returns, unknown but probably modest.
The result was that William and Harry each received approximately £10 million, totaling £20 million between them. Was this fair? Whether this outcome was fair or appropriate is a matter of perspective. From one viewpoint, William and Harry still received substantial wealth. £10 million each is life-changing money that provides enormous financial security and freedom. Diana's sons are not victims of financial hardship. From another viewpoint, Diana wanted her full fortune to go to her sons. She didn't want millions of pounds consumed by legal fees, management costs, and lengthy administrative processes. If she had known that her estate would shrink significantly due to these costs, she might have made different arrangements. Some critics argue the executors didn't do enough to minimize costs. Could cheaper lawyers have been used? Could the estate have been settled more quickly, reducing years of management fees? Could investments have been managed more aggressively to grow the estate's value faster than costs consumed it? Defenders of the executors argue they handled a complex, high-profile estate as well as could be expected. They navigated difficult tax situations that could have cost millions more. They managed complicated assets and legal challenges. They fulfilled their fiduciary duties to protect and preserve Diana's estate for her sons. Lessons from Diana's estate. Diana's estate illustrates important lessons about inheritance and wealth transfer. First, even substantial fortunes can be significantly reduced by taxes, legal fees, and administrative costs. The wealthy need sophisticated estate planning to minimize these reductions. Second, time is a factor in estate administration. The longer an estate remains in trust or under management, the more costs accumulate. Quick settlement can preserve more value for heirs, but complex estates often require time to settle properly. Third, high-profile estates face unique challenges. Diana's fame meant everything about her estate attracted attention, scrutiny, and sometimes legal challenges. Managing a celebrity estate involves costs that ordinary estates don't face. Fourth, investment strategy matters for estates. Conservative management preserves capital, but may not generate growth sufficient to offset costs and inflation. Aggressive investment risks losses, but might grow the estate significantly. Conclusion. So, where did Diana's £21 million go? The answer is that it went to many places. Some went to taxes, though less than might without clever planning. Some went to lawyers who spent years administering the estate. Some went to professional managers who maintained, invested, and protected Diana's assets. Some went to charitable causes through the Diana Memorial Fund. Some was eroded by inflation over 17 years.
What remained, approximately £20 million, divided between William and Harry, still represented substantial wealth and provided Diana's sons with financial security. But it was notably less than the £21 million estate Diana left behind. The story of Diana's estate reminds us that inheritance isn't always straightforward. Money doesn't simply pass from one generation to the next unchanged. Taxes, fees, time, and various costs reduce what heirs ultimately receive. Even for a princess with millions of pounds, the reality of estate administration significantly affects the final outcome. Diana wanted her sons to be wealthy and independent. Despite the reductions to her estate, she achieved that goal. William and Harry received enough wealth to ensure financial security for life. But the journey from Diana's £21 million estate to their final inheritance was complex, expensive, and in some ways disappointing to those who wished Diana's full fortune had reached her beloved sons intact.